told my husband he should learn from me as I kissed my guy friend. His reaction left me broken. Hey Reddit, I can already feel the judgment coming, but here I am. I guess you could call this my confession post because honestly, I don't even know what I was thinking. I'm a mess right now. I've taken him for granted. And now I'm terrified that I might have ruined everything. I know I messed up, and I know I don't deserve sympathy for what I did. But if sharing this helps me understand how to fix things, or even just gives me the courage to try, then maybe it's worth it. I don't want to lose my marriage. I didn't realize what I had until it all started slipping through my fingers, and now I regret it more than I can put into words. I don't want to lose my husband. My name is Olivia, I'm 32, and my husband's name is Mac. He's also 32. We've been married for 3 years, and for the most part, our relationship has been wonderful. Mac is an amazing person, kind, thoughtful, and steady in ways that I'm not. Together, we've built a life that, until recently, I thought was solid. We've had our ups and downs, sure, but who doesn't? Mac is an amazing person, as I've already mentioned. He really is. He's everything I could ever ask for in a partner, kind, loving, and always there when I need him. But there's been one issue in our relationship that I can't shake, and it's something I've struggled to figure out how to deal with. That issue, intimacy. I feel like this is where I'm going to get the most judgment, but I'm just going to say it. The intimacy between Mac and I isn't exactly the way I want it. Now don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Mac is bad in bed. He's not. He's actually really sweet and thoughtful, but his softness and calmness, which are amazing qualities in every other aspect of our life, sort of extend into the bedroom. And that's where the problem lies. I'm a person who likes things a little more intense, rough even. I don't mean to sound crass, but I like my sex hard, passionate, raw. I want to feel like there's a spark, an edge to it, something that makes it feel alive and not just like a routine. It's not that Mac isn't trying. He is, but he just doesn't seem to know how to deliver what I crave. This isn't something I've told him in so many words. I never wanted to hurt him or make him feel inadequate. Mac is a great partner in so many other ways, and the last thing I wanted was to make him feel like he wasn't enough. I didn't want him to think that his love, his care, or his tenderness wasn't appreciated, because it absolutely is. The last thing I want to do is make Mac feel like he's failing at something that's supposed to be intimate and enjoyable. So I've kept quiet about it, tried to push those feelings down because, realistically, I couldn't leave Mac over something like sex. The stability we have together, his loyalty, the way he's been my anchor through all of life's storms, is too valuable to risk over this. But here's the problem. When you keep something like that bottled up for so long, it starts to eat at you. Slowly, over time, I've found myself frustrated, and instead of dealing with it head on, I've avoided it. At first it was a small thing. Maybe I would just let myself daydream about a different scenario, or I would watch something that fit what I wanted in terms of physicality. I'm talking about those little moments when you think, what if? Or maybe if things were different. It wasn't a huge deal at first, just something I brushed off. But then it started to grow. It wasn't just about me daydreaming or watching something to fill the gap. It became a real issue. The desire for something more didn't just remain in my mind. It started to invade every part of my daily life. The frustration I had been suppressing was turning into something bigger, I guess. At first I thought it was just a phase, a rough patch, or maybe even something hormonal. But as time went by, it became impossible to deny. It started to eat at me from the inside. I couldn't enjoy anything fully anymore. Even when Mac and I were laughing together, even when we were having fun. And worse, I realized I was disconnecting from Mac on a level I didn't fully understand. I would find myself pulling away from him in small ways, avoiding his touch or keeping conversations light and surface level, even when we were alone. What scared me the most, though, was how the resentment started to creep into the way I saw him. I started to despise Mac for things that weren't really his fault. I started blaming him for the frustration I had been holding inside for so long. He didn't know how much I was suffering because I'd never told him the full extent of it. It was all irrational, I know. It wasn't fair to blame him for something I hadn't even given him a chance to understand. But in my head, it was easier to point the finger at him than face the fact that I had never communicated my needs properly. I was angry at him for not being able to read my mind, for not sensing that I was frustrated. But the truth was, he couldn't give me what I needed because I had never asked him for it. He couldn't give me what I was craving because I hadn't let him know it was missing. And yet, in my mind, I had already built up this narrative where he was the one failing me, the one who wasn't enough. I started to resent him even more when I realized that I had never been able to tell him how deep the problem went. Every time I thought about opening up to him about it, I froze. I couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to explain how I was starting to feel, how the lack of passion was slowly eroding everything good we had. The thought of him thinking I didn't love him enough, or worse, that he wasn't good enough for me, paralyzed me. So I held it all in. But by keeping it in, I only let the resentment build. I started questioning myself. Why couldn't I just be satisfied? Why was this thing, this lack of physical intimacy, becoming such a problem? Why couldn't I just accept things the way they were and appreciate everything else that was so good in our relationship? I hated that I was even thinking this way. I knew that Mac wasn't a bad partner. He was kind, loving, and steady. He was everything you could want in a husband. So why couldn't I just get over this? Why was this one issue eating away at me? But I couldn't. I couldn't ignore it any longer. This feeling was too big, too consuming, and it wasn't going to go away until I dealt with it. So eventually I hit a breaking point. I couldn't keep pretending like everything was fine. I couldn't keep holding it all in. So I decided to finally sit Mac down and tell him the truth. It was terrifying. I had no idea how he was going to react. How do you tell someone you love that the one thing they're doing, the one thing that should make them feel good about themselves, isn't enough for you? How do you explain that you love them, but you're craving something different, something they can't give? I took a deep breath, and in the most vulnerable way I could, I finally fessed up. I told him about the frustration that had been building, about how it had started to eat away at me, and how I couldn't keep pretending like everything was okay. He didn't get defensive. In fact, he listened. And as I finished, he told me that he was glad I had finally spoken up. He said it made him happy that I trusted him enough to share something so personal. He told me he would try, that he wanted to give me what I needed, and I genuinely believed him. Mac had always been open to communication, always willing to compromise. But even though he said he would try, and he did, honestly, I realized that it wasn't enough. The changes weren't immediate, and frankly, they weren't all that dramatic. Mac tried, and I could see that he was making an effort, but he wasn't changing who he was. And Mac, at his core, was a soft-hearted person. He was gentle and caring, but not in the way I needed him to be. I had hoped that if I told him what I wanted, he would push past his natural instincts and adapt to what I craved. But that wasn't who he was. He didn't want to hurt me, didn't want to push me beyond what was comfortable, and that made him even more perfect in his way. But it made me feel more frustrated. As much as he tried, it was almost like he couldn't quite shift gears and give me that raw passion I'd been craving. And I hated myself for it. I hated that I couldn't just accept him the way he was. I was being unreasonable, I know, but I couldn't stop feeling that it wasn't enough. And I didn't know how to make him understand that without completely destroying him in the process. What if it was just me? What if I was the problem? What if Mac was already doing everything he could, and I was the one who couldn't be satisfied? The guilt, the shame, the frustration, all came rushing back, and I didn't know how to fix it. After a while, the pretense I'd been putting on for months, the smiling, the pretending everything was fine when it absolutely wasn't, turned into something darker. It wasn't just frustration anymore, it was full-blown resentment. I started to despise Mac, and I don't mean like a little annoyance here and there. No, this was something deep, something venomous. I hated him for things that weren't even his fault, but in my twisted head, it felt like I had to. It sounds awful, and it is awful, but that's where I was. I couldn't stand how soft he was, how gentle he was in every damn thing he did. I hated the way he'd kiss me so tenderly, like I was some fragile thing that needed to be handled with care. I hated how he tried to comfort me when I was upset, as though his words or his hugs could somehow fix something that had nothing to do with him. I hated how much he cared, and the worst part was, I hated him for loving me the way he did, because it felt like I didn't even deserve it anymore. I started mocking him, ridiculing him for the smallest things, the way he'd try to be sweet in the kitchen, making us dinner, thinking that would make me smile. It was pathetic. I'd make these sarcastic comments just to make him feel small. I'd laugh in his face when he'd try to touch me or kiss me, saying things like, "Seriously, that's all you've got?" Or, "You really think that's going to work on me?" It felt so good to tear him down, to make him feel less than. In some twisted way, it gave me the power back that I had lost when I started resenting him. I told myself it wasn't really my fault. He wasn't giving me what I needed, so why should I have to be the one to change? Why should I have to make sacrifices? He was the one falling short, not me. And every time I made him feel like he wasn't enough, I felt more justified. Because let's be honest, I was the one who deserved better. I was the one who had needs, who had desires, who had a right to be fulfilled. I started fantasizing about what it would be like to be with someone else, someone who could give me exactly what I wanted, someone who would demand more from me, someone who would take control and make me feel wanted in a way Mac never could. And as I mocked Mac, as I tore him down, I felt that power surge in me. For once, I wasn't the weak one. For once, I wasn't the one begging for something more, for something real. But deep down, I knew I was being selfish. I knew this wasn't fair to him, but that didn't stop me, because in my head, I was the one who mattered. It didn't matter that Mac was trying his best. It didn't matter that he was a good husband, that he loved me, that he would do anything for me. I didn't care about any of that. All I cared about was me, my needs, my desires, my happiness. Mac was just a means to an end. He was the man I'd settled for, the man I'd married because it was comfortable. I had built up this entire narrative in my head, this story where I was the victim and he was the villain. He was the one who couldn't measure up, who couldn't give me what I needed, who couldn't satisfy me in every way that mattered. And instead of dealing with the real issue, that I couldn't communicate what I wanted, I just piled more guilt and blame on him. I hated him for not being enough. I hated him for being exactly who he was, too good, too kind, too soft. And in the process, I was destroying everything I had with him. I started telling my friends all the little things that bugged me about Mac. I didn't just vent to them. Oh no, I was practically making him the punchline of every joke. I'd go on and on about how he was such a loser, how he couldn't even get something as simple as intimacy right. And of course, my friends ate it up. They'd laugh, make their own snide remarks, and before long, we were all just ganging up on him, tearing him down bit by bit. It didn't feel wrong at first. After all, they were my friends, right? They were supposed to back me up. But looking back now, I can see how ugly it was. I was turning Mac into a joke in front of the people closest to me, and no one even cared. Mac never really reacted. He stayed quiet, as he always did. He didn't defend himself, didn't say anything to try and stop me. I liked that. It gave me more ammo, more fuel to keep talking. I convinced myself that he didn't care enough to speak up, so why should I stop? It felt empowering, in a twisted way. But that night, something changed. We'd gone to the bar, my friends and I, just to hang out and laugh. And of course, Mac was the center of most of the jokes. I think I pushed it a bit more than usual, though. I was buzzing from the alcohol, the attention, the feeling of control. As we were joking around, I decided to take it to the next level. I kissed my male friend right there in front of him. Not just a peck, but a real kiss, something that would really get his attention. I looked at Mac as I did it and said, "Watch and learn, baby." I didn't expect much of a reaction. He never did react to any of my little jabs or provocations. But this time, there was something different in his eyes. He stood up, his face flushed, and without saying a word, he walked out of the bar. I was shocked. What the hell? This was exactly what I had wanted, right? To make him jealous, to show him that I didn't need him, that I could have someone else. But the way he walked away, without saying anything, it felt unexpected. It was like he just didn't care anymore, and I didn't know how to handle that. I tried to go after him. I rushed out the door, tried to call after him and get him to come back. But he just shoved me off, gently but firmly, and kept walking to the car. He didn't even turn around to look at me. I stood there for a second, completely dumbfounded. Then I realized, shit, he was supposed to cover the whole bill. Every time we went out, Mac always paid. Always. I always insisted he be the one to pay since he was well off, and I liked showing off in front of my friends about it. But now, here I was, alone with a bunch of friends, no husband to pay for the drinks, and no way to handle the situation. I rushed back inside and tried to pay using our joint account, figuring that maybe I could just settle things myself. But when I went to withdraw the money, I saw that it was all gone. All of it. Every single cent. My heart sank. What the hell? When had he taken the money? How could he have done that so quickly? I tried calling him, panicking, my hands were shaking. But he didn't pick up. I called over and over, but nothing. My friends were getting impatient. They could tell something was off, and honestly, they were pissed. They weren't happy about having to split the bill. Finally, they all reluctantly chipped in to cover the costs. But the mood was totally ruined. I couldn't enjoy myself anymore. All I could think about was Mac and why he had done that. Why had he just walked out? Why had he taken the money? I stayed at the bar for a while, but I wasn't even really there. My mind was with Mac, wondering if I'd pushed him too far, if this was the end of everything. But at the same time, a part of me didn't really care. I mean, was he really that important? I'd been fine without him for the night, right? Something had changed, but I was too stubborn, too wrapped up in my own anger to fully process what it meant. When I got home, my stomach dropped as soon as I saw my things piled up outside the door. It hit me like a punch to the gut. My clothes, my shoes, my bags, all scattered on the front lawn like they didn't even matter. The door was locked, the pin changed, and I was standing there, feeling like the world was crashing down around me. It wasn't real. It couldn't be. I stood there for a minute, frozen, staring at the pile of my belongings. My mind was racing. I couldn't comprehend what was happening. Why would Mac do this? Why would he kick me out like this? This wasn't supposed to happen. I wasn't ready for this. I panicked. I dialed his number 1,000,000 times over and over, watching the phone ring and ring with no response. I left messages, texted him. Hell, I even begged him to answer, to talk to me, to tell me what was going on. But nothing. Not a single word from him. It was like he had completely disappeared from my life. I couldn't take it. I was desperate, erratic, my emotions spiraling. What had I done? What was I thinking? All those jokes, that kiss, everything. It all felt like it happened in a fog. And now here I was, outside, with nothing but my scattered belongings and an empty, locked house, staring back at me. It was like I had pushed him too far, and now I was paying for it. I had to do something. I wasn't just going to stand there and beg outside his door, but the panic kept creeping in, eating at me. I had nowhere else to go. No friends who would take me in, no safe space, no one who could give me any sense of comfort. So I did what I had to do. I gathered up my things, throwing whatever I could into bags, making sure I didn't leave anything behind. It wasn't dignified, but I didn't care. I didn't even know what I cared about anymore. I managed to call a damn cab. I was an emotional wreck. I couldn't stop the thoughts, the nagging voice in the back of my head, telling me how wrong I was. I finally showed up at my parents' house, looking like a complete mess. My mother let me in, eyes wide with concern, but I could barely look at her. I was ashamed. I had never felt so low. It's been 2 weeks now, and I still can't shake the feeling that I've ruined everything. I keep thinking about the things I said, the things I did, and how I pushed Mac to his limit. What was I expecting? That he would just let me humiliate him, let me walk all over him, and still welcome me back with open arms? I was so consumed with my own frustration and selfish desires that I didn't even stop to think about him, about how he might feel. I want to fix this, I truly do, but Mac won't talk to me. I've tried reaching out, sending messages, calling, even writing him emails, but he won't budge. It's like I've completely lost him. I'm desperate. I don't know how to make it right. Every time I think about him, I feel this overwhelming guilt. I want to apologize, to take back everything I did, but I know I can't, and I don't even know if it's too late. I've never felt so small in my life. I'm erratic, out of control. I don't know what to do, but all I can think about is Mac. I need him. I know that now. more than ever, but I don't know if he'll ever give me the chance to make things right. Update. Hello, Reddit. I knew when I first posted here that I was going to get bashed, and honestly, I deserve it. I get that. But still, I'll admit, I was hoping for a little more kindness, you know? Maybe a little less judgment, but whatever. This is the internet, and you can't control what people say. So I'm here again, hoping to update you all, even though it's not the kind of update I wanted to give. Getting my story off my chest when I posted last time, well, it did make me feel a little better. At least I had somewhere to vent, even if I got judged pretty hard for it. But I guess I brought that on myself. So, regarding updates, I really wish I had more to tell you, but it's been a tough couple of weeks. My husband Mac, he's set on getting a divorce. I reached out to him after a lot of soul searching and begging. He finally agreed to meet, and we did. I thought maybe we'd talk things through. Maybe he'd soften up. Maybe we'd get to the point where we could at least try to work things out. But no, he wasn't interested in pleasantries, and he didn't waste any time. He got straight to the point. He wants a divorce. I was blindsided. I mean, I guess I should have seen it coming, but I didn't. I thought there was still a chance that maybe I could make it right. So I cried. I sat there in front of him sobbing because I was crushed. I didn't want to lose him. I still don't. I thought we could fix this. I thought we could find a way back to what we had, but he doesn't see it that way. He told me I'd degraded him, that I had disrespected him in ways that I couldn't even begin to understand. He said that he couldn't take any more of it, that the way I treated him wasn't something he could keep living with. And honestly, it's like a knife in my chest just writing this. The rest of that conversation is a blur. We argued a little, but it was clear he had already made up his mind. He's done. It wasn't even about the specifics anymore. He's emotionally checked out, and he doesn't want to come back. I get it now. I was the one who messed up. I was the one who pushed him away, who made him feel worthless. And now, he's gone, and I can't undo any of it. I regret it all. I miss him so much already, and it's eating me alive. I'm in this deep, dark hole, and I don't know how to climb out. Everyone around me seems to think he's right. My parents, his parents, even our mutual friends, they all say that I'm the one who messed up. I know I did, but hearing it from everyone makes it worse. It feels like I'm losing everyone. Everyone is on his side, and I'm left with nothing but the mess I made. I did cut off those so-called friends of mine. I should have done that a long time ago. They weren't real friends. They were toxic, and I let them manipulate me into believing that everything was fine when it wasn't. They were just using me, using my husband's money, and I see that now. It's good riddance to them. At least I've done something right in all this mess. But still, I can't shake the guilt. I just wish I could make Mac understand how deeply sorry I am, how much I regret what I did. I wish I could show him that I've learned my lesson and that I'm not the same person I was before. But I don't know how. I don't even know where to start. I need him. I know that now, more than ever. But I don't know what to do. I don't know how to fix this. I feel like I'm running out of time, and I don't have any way to make it right. I'm just lost. Thanks for reading, even if I'm just venting again. Update. Hello, Reddit. It's been a while since I posted an update, and honestly, that's because my life has been absolute chaos. I don't even know where to begin. It's been overwhelming, and I'm just now mustering the strength to come on here and vent. I don't know where else to go, so here I am. It's probably not going to make anything better, but I really need to let it all out. So first things first, I got served. Mac is serious about the divorce. He's moving forward with it, and I'm losing my mind. He's done. I've begged. I've pleaded. But he's just done. There's no coming back from this. No, we can fix this. No, maybe we can try one more time. He's checked out, and it feels like my entire world is crumbling around me. I feel erratic, completely out of control. I feel like I'm spiraling into this pit I can't get out of. The guilt is suffocating, and I can't stop blaming myself for everything. I've been stupid. I've been selfish. I threw away everything I had with him, all for some ridiculous thing that I let consume me. I didn't appreciate him when I had him, and now he's gone. And worst of all, it's all starting to hit my family too. Before, they were all on his side. Now they're looking at me like I've ruined everything. Mac was the one who was paying the bills, who was keeping us afloat, Hell, he even owned my parents' house. It was his money that was making sure they could live rent-free. But now, because of everything that's happened, he served them an eviction notice. They've got nothing, and I feel like I'm the one who's torn their lives apart. My parents don't have any savings. They're scrambling, trying to figure out what they're going to do, but it's a mess. They have no money to go anywhere, and we don't even know where we're going to end up. Everything feels like it's falling apart. My siblings are furious at me. They're upset, and they're not holding back. I get it. They're right. It is my fault. I'm the one who destroyed this. I'm the one who ruined everything. Mac was also the one bankrolling my sister's college education. She's only in her first year, and now she's going to have to drop out because there's no way we can pay for it now. She was depending on him for tuition, and now she has no idea what she's going to do. It feels like everything I touch is just falling apart. I can't stop thinking about how much I've destroyed. And it's not just my family who's affected. I was supposed to go back to school next year. Mac was going to help me pay for it. I was a stay-at-home wife, and that was fine because I knew he'd support me. But now, that dream is gone. I'm not going to college anymore. I'm stuck, and I don't know what to do. That was my chance to do something for myself, and now it feels like I've just ruined that too. So, yeah, everyone's blaming me. They should be. It's my fault. I made my bed, and now I'm lying in it. But that doesn't make it easier. It doesn't stop the guilt from eating me alive. Every time I look at my family, I just see the mess I've made, the life I've destroyed. I'm responsible for all of it. I feel like I'm losing myself in this guilt. I'm starting to really hate myself. I hate what I've become. I hate that I let my stupid desires and insecurities ruin everything. My life is a disgusting mess right now. I don't know where to go from here. I don't know how to fix it. And the worst part, I don't even know if I deserve to. Thanks for listening, even if this is just a ramble of a broken person trying to make sense of everything. Update. Hello, Reddit. It's been a while. The last time I came on here to talk about Mark, everything was still falling apart. I was trying to make sense of it all, but it honestly felt like my world was being squashed by a giant weight. And the chaos, it just didn't stop. It's been one hell of a roller coaster, and I'm still stuck on it. It's been a while, and I know this update is long overdue, but here I am. I guess I owe you all some sort of closure or whatever. First of all, as you already know, the divorce has been finalized. It's done. Over. I don't want to go into the details, but yeah. It's real now. And even though it's over, it still stings. It still hurts like hell. Every time I look at myself in the mirror, I see a failure. I hate myself for what I did, for what I let happen. I don't even know how I got here. I didn't recognize myself then, and I sure as hell don't recognize myself now. Second, yeah, we did get evicted. That's another thing I never wanted to happen, but here we are. It was ugly, really ugly. I couldn't even look at my family when it happened because, honestly, they were all looking at me like I was the reason for it. I didn't want to make it worse for them, so I didn't fight. I couldn't. Mark had been so good to us, and even if we had tried, it wouldn't have mattered. The money we didn't have would be gone on lawyer fees, and they still wouldn't have won. So we moved out. It wasn't just a simple move, though. That's the thing people don't realize. It's not as easy as packing up and leaving. We were homeless, like truly homeless. Some of my siblings had to go stay with distant relatives who could barely take them in, and my parents, well, they were couch surfing. And me, I was right there with them, couch surfing too. Sometimes I was just on the streets. It felt like a bad dream that I couldn't wake up from. We were literally all split up because we didn't have anywhere to go, no place to turn to, no one to help. It was a nightmare. And we still don't know where we're going to go next. But things seem to be looking up for my brother. He's been talking about renting an apartment, and honestly, I'm praying it pulls through. He's even going for a job interview soon, and I really hope it works out. If he can get that job, he can afford the apartment. We all need something stable. I can't keep living this way, on the edge, waiting for the next disaster to hit. I'm so tired of it. As for me, well, I'm still jobless. I've been looking for something, anything. I did try to get a job, I really did, but I messed that up too. I got caught stealing a few weeks ago and got fired. It's pathetic, I know. I can't believe I let myself fall this far. If you had told me a year ago that I'd be in this position, homeless, stealing, completely falling apart, I wouldn't have believed you. I would have thought you were mocking me, but here I am, a thief, a failure. It's disgusting. Honestly, I feel lucky that I'm not in jail. Sometimes I wonder if I deserve to be. I hate myself for what I've become. I'm such a mess. I can't even look at myself anymore without feeling disgusted. This is not who I was supposed to be. I didn't even go to college. I have no degree, no real experience, nothing. So my options are limited. I've been trying to find jobs that offer room and board, but those are like unicorns. They're so hard to find, and the competition is unreal. I even had to sell my phone at one point just to get by. I've only just gotten a new one, and it doesn't even feel like a victory. It's just another thing I've had to scrape together. So yeah, that's my update, the grand-ass update that everyone's been waiting for. And honestly, it's not exciting, it's not dramatic, and it sure as hell isn't entertaining. I'm not here with some wild story to tell. I'm not going to spice it up with crazy antics. I wish I could, I really do. But life isn't like that. It's not this magical, life-changing series of events. It's just been one long, dragged-out mess, and I'm stuck in it. I still miss him. Every damn day. I regret everything. And I know I can never undo what I've done. I made this life for myself, and I can't change it now. It's all on me. Every mistake, every bad choice, every bit of this hell. It's mine. No one else's. It's all my fault. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. And I hate it. I hate myself. I'm just trying to survive now. Trying to hold on, even though it feels like I'm slipping further and further away. I just hope I can find a way out.
I was not ready for a serious relationship, but in my mind I thought I was. I'm a city girl who loves partying and clubbing and exploring. I didn't think I would get married. I was against marriage. I used to say I will never get married. I wanted to have fun. But here I was walking down the aisle going to my ex-husband. Yes, my marriage was an epic fail. I wanted to spice things up in my marriage, but I guess I was wrong. It has been a couple of months since we have separated, and I would be lying if I said I do not miss him because I do. So much. I regret even trying to make him understand why I wanted us to open our relationship, because everything took the wrong turn and not what I had expected. Our love story had blossomed over the years that we had been together. It was filled with laughter, shared dreams, and unwavering commitment. As time went on, however, I began to feel a sense of restlessness within me. I am only 25, and the world seems to be expanding before my eyes. I craved new experiences, yearned to explore different facets of life, and felt an overwhelming desire to spread my wings. I believed that opening our relationship would allow me to satisfy this yearning without sacrificing the love we shared. I didn't know who to talk to nor share my story with because I lost all my friends. That is why I would love some advice from you. No judgments, please. I, female 25, met my ex-husband Charlize Meyer, male 29, at the Four Seasons Hotel restaurant in Toronto, Canada. Well, he is the one who approached me as I was also sitting alone waiting for someone. He told me that he was there to meet up with a client, which postponed their meeting to the following week. So he stayed in the hotel until he met up with his client. He was a very sophisticated and enthusiastic human being. That's what I had figured out about him. He loved his job so much. I loved his appearance. His aura was clean and pure. I felt drawn to him for some reasons. Was I being sluttish? Charlize is a handsome and charming man. We had a chat and a couple of drinks. He was a very interesting guy, but way too serious and focused more on making money. He asked me out and we went on a couple of dates. I really thought I changed. I was not partying anymore or even going out with my friends, which is why I didn't think about telling him that I loved going out and exploring new places and partying. I actually thought it was not necessary because I had thought I had quitted that life when I got into a relationship with him. I just wanted to spend my time with him. I was in love. He was such a romantic person. Every chance he got, he would go all out to make me happy, but I was not fully happy. There was something amiss in my life, in our relationship, a bit of vibe was missing. Yes, our intimate moments were over the top. It was everything, but I wanted more. We once went to Hawaii. I was so excited, I couldn't believe that it was my first time leaving Canada. Ever since that day, we would fly out on each and every holiday. He proposed in Paris, the city of love. I couldn't resist. I agreed to marry him on the spot. I went home and told them good news. Months went by and we got married. So I moved to his luxury apartment in Manhattan straight after marriage. He made me quit my job and said he is going to take care of me. He needs me at home and warming up his sheet, a classic man. I guess that's when the problem started. I had too much time on my hands. I didn't know what to do. He usually had meetings since they had promoted him at work, name withheld for professional reasons. But we also traveled a lot and even bought a house in Miami for Christmas holidays. We don't like the cold weather in New York during the winter season. We have been together for 3 years. We had shared countless memories and dreams, but lately I had been feeling restless. At the age of 25, I felt like I was missing out on my youth. Bear in mind, I got married at the age of 22, so I couldn't get time to explore and live my youthful life. I wanted to explore new experiences and meet new people. I thought that opening our relationship could be an answer. But I guess I was wrong. My thoughts got me kicked out and divorced. After a few years of being in a monogamous relationship/marriage, I felt like something was missing. I loved her husband, Charlize, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed more. I wanted to explore my sexuality and try new things, but Charlize was against the idea of opening up our relationship. Yes, we did travel to some nice places, but he didn't want us to go to any clubs or any fun places. He only chose those serious places with serious people, and I didn't want that. I wanted us to live our lives to the fullest so that when it's time to have kids or grow old, we won't regret not living our lives to the fullest. I had tried asking him to at least let loose a little and allow himself to enjoy his youth also. But guess what he said? He told me that letting loose is for people who don't know what they want and have no goal and ambition. That statement alone left me tongue-tied. I somehow felt offended by it, but he would manage to shift from being serious to the funny, boring Charlize. So one day, I felt like I was missing out. You know, always staying in the house was not what I had signed up for, and the fact that I would look at my friends' posts on social media, having the best time of their lives while I was glued in the house like a built-in furnisher. I missed going out. I was still young, for Christ's sake, to become a house furnisher. Yes, my husband was giving me money to spoil myself and go out to do shopping. But I didn't want that. I wanted to go out with my hubby, explore different places, and attend different parties and events or even clubs. Get intoxicated together, make mistakes together. But I guess that was only a fantasy if you are married or in a relationship with Charlize Mayer. So that day, I decided to just go out and have fun. Charlize was not around for the weekend. He had gone to one of his friend's bachelor parties. I decided not to go to the friend's bridal shower because the girl who was getting married to Charlize's friends was not my friend, and we didn't know each other that well. So I told Charlize that I would remain behind and meet him at the wedding the following day. Since I was married to him, I should always be there with him at ceremonies like this, even though I didn't feel like going, but I had to honor my husband and be his +1. When I got to the nearest club, it was epic. The music was busting on top of the roof. People were dancing, and I felt at home when I entered the club's door. It felt like it was where my heart belonged. My happiness got to be in play. I bought my own drinks while enjoying the music. Some handsome, slim, fit guy with a nice cut mustache approached me and offered to buy me a drink, of which I declined for obvious reasons. The guy didn't listen to me. Instead, he bought more booze, and the conversation flowed. It was really fun hanging with him. We laughed, danced, and even made jokes about each other's moves. It was what my soul needed. I felt at peace with so much happiness. Since that day, I continued going out, partying, and clubbing with Trevor, the guy I met at the club, male, 26. What I liked more about Trevor was that he was not afraid to live for himself. He was also working as an architect, but he allowed himself to let loose a little. He was not afraid to be wild and be himself without any fear of being judged. Trevor and I clicked. We had a lot in common. During the times of going out, Trevor would sometimes ask me to be his date at parties. As much as that was wrong in so many ways, but I felt a sense of belonging, you know? I felt at home. I mean, he allowed me to be wild and carefree while he also does the same. It was like we were a couple that had an open relationship, and it felt great. I wanted that with Charlize, but he didn't pay attention to my needs and desires. A month passed. Trevor and I went to this music concert, and there was DJ Black Coffee, South Africa's best deep house DJ. It was truly a blast, and I was having so much. I loved the DJ very much, and it made me happy to get a chance to be at one of his events that took place in Madison Square Gardens. My husband, or must I say my ex-husband, never really cared about what I liked and what I didn't. All he cared about was showering me with those materialistic things that I didn't even like, but I would show happiness because I love him, you know. After DJ Black Coffee's event, we went to another nightclub not far from my house. Or, must I say, Charlize's house. We got there and the music was booming, people minding their own business, having fun in every way. I was also having so much fun with Trevor. But what I didn't appreciate in him was that he kept confessing his feelings for me. I knew that I was married and committed to Charlize, which was why I didn't consider Trevor's feelings towards me. I knew where my heart belonged, so when I told him to remember that I was someone's wife. He told me that he had noticed, but he couldn't live with the fact that he had feelings for me. Unexpectedly, I regretted myself and felt guilty after I kissed Trevor. Yes, I was intoxicated a lot to a point that I found myself craving Trevor's sexy and pinkish lips. I couldn't contain myself any longer. I know I shouldn't have done that since I am or was a married woman. And what I did was breaking the vows that I had made in front of the Lord, both our families and friends. I knew that if Charlize was to find out about what I had done, things would take a huge turn for me, and my marriage would either be in jeopardy or get destroyed completely. Frustrated and unhappy with what I had done, I decided to talk to Charlize about my desires. That day I had cooked a very nice dinner, his favorites only so we could talk about my issue. I explained how I felt trapped and that I needed some freedom to explore my sexuality, since he is always focused on work and showering me with materialistic things but never asked how I was, nor check if I am happy. I even emphasized that this wasn't about wanting to replace him, but rather about personal growth. I tried to reason with him, but he refused to budge. He believed that opening our relationship would lead to jealousy and heartbreak. And so, I made the difficult decision to put myself first. I knew that Charlize loved me, and I loved him also. But love alone is not enough if you are not happy, right? You know, I hoped he would understand, since he sees that I am always in the house doing nothing. It had become like I was a part of the house furniture. Charlize, however, didn't take it well. He felt hurt and betrayed by my request. But Charlize was adamant that he didn't want to share me with anyone else. I explained my feelings, emphasizing that I still loved him deeply, but needed more space to grow as an individual. Charlize, however, was taken aback by my proposal. I knew that he had never considered the possibility of an open relationship. To him, our relationship was built on trust and exclusivity. So my request caught him off guard and infuriated him to a point that he even asked if I was cheating on him, and if I had got someone else from the clubs that I was going to and the trips that I had taken with some guy and kissing him. His question caught me off guard. I mean, how did he find out about all that? I was shocked and somehow scared about what he would do next, but I decided to deny all his allegations and told him to stop changing the topic. Oh, how I wish I was cheating on him, but my love for him didn't allow me to. Which is why I still regret kissing Trevor, but is kissing considered cheating? Okay, maybe I did cheat, but it was only a kiss that didn't even last 5 seconds. But I needed to feel myself, to feel alive and happy for once, which is something he couldn't provide for me. I mean, I am still young to be living the life of a retired soldier. The thought of sharing me with someone else was unbearable to him. I kind of think he was somehow obsessed with me being the housewife. He refused outright, unable to comprehend my perspective. Charlize expressed his concerns, fearing that opening our relationship would lead to jealousy, mistrust, and ultimately the demise of our love. He believed that our bond was sacred and should remain exclusive. We found ourselves at an impasse, each holding on to their own beliefs and unable to find a compromise. He got angry at the fact that I wanted to open our relationship. He believed agreeing to open our relationship would mean he is allowing me to go outside our marriage and cheat. Which was not what I wanted, but he didn't want to listen. Typical men's ego. The following day, Charlize went to work early and came back at night. He asked about the guy that I had been seen spending time with while he was not present. I denied everything that he was saying, and it led to a massive argument. So after a particularly heated argument, Charlize made a decision that would change our lives forever. I couldn't believe it, you know. I thought he loved me. He packed my belongings and asked me to leave our apartment. Just because I wanted an open marriage relationship, instead of understanding things in my own perspectives, he made a harsh and hurtful decision. I was so devastated. I had never imagined that my desire for exploration would lead to such a painful outcome. Our disagreement quickly escalated into a heated argument. Emotions ran high, and hurtful words were exchanged. Charlize made a decision that shocked both of us. I didn't think he would actually come up with that decision just because I wanted our marriage to be open. He asked me to leave our shared apartment and told me that he was unable to continue our relationship under these circumstances. He told me right in my face that I should expect a call from our lawyer anytime soon, but he wanted me gone. The breakup was messy and painful. Charlize and I were hurt. Well, more like I was the one hurting the most. But deep down, we knew that we couldn't stay together if we couldn't agree on such an important issue. With tears streaming down my face, I walked out of the apartment, her heart shattered into a million pieces. I wandered aimlessly through the city streets, feeling lost and alone. I didn't want to go back to New York City. I mean, if I were to go back to NYC, what would my family say, and how would I have explained why my husband kicked me out? I wouldn't say, he kicked me out because I wanted to open our relationship and he refused, so he kicked me out and took away everything. That would be a joke of all jokes. As I sat on a park bench, I had come to realize that I had lost more than just my relationship. I had lost a part of myself. I ended up spending the night at the nearest hotel. I felt stifled and misunderstood, you know. I was hurt by Charlize's decision. I was not expecting him to make such a drastic decision. I know I had done him wrong in so many ways, but the fact that he decided to divorce me just because I wanted us to open our relationship. It's not like I wanted him to quit his job and focus on me and my desires. I wanted us to have freedom of doing things in our own ways, the way that would make both of us happy. I was so devastated and filled with regret, I found myself alone, questioning my choices. The days that I had spent in a hotel were hard. I was grieving for my marriage. I was depressed and felt like I had lost my heart. I didn't expect things to turn out this way, and the weight of my decision crushed me so bad. I later realized that my desire for exploration had come at a great cost. I reflected on the choices I had made and the consequences they had brought. I realized that I had underestimated the depth of Charlize's love and commitment. After spending a couple of days at the hotel, I went back home. Days turned into weeks, and I was left to pick up the pieces of my shattered heart. As much as I hadn't healed from the breakup, but I had to start picking myself up. Those days that I had spent at the hotel were enough for me to grieve my marriage. So when I went back to NYC, I decided to embark on a journey of self-discovery, traveling to different countries, meeting new people, and pushing the boundaries of her own comfort zone. Through my experiences, I learned that true freedom comes from within, and that love can take many forms. A year later, I decided to join a support group for people in open relationships and started dating casually. I found that being able to explore my sexuality without restrictions was liberating and empowering. I decided to live my life for me. Yes, I had casual hookups or relationships, but none of them had my heart like Charlize. They were what I call time passers, and they really helped me to explore my desires. I continued partying, going to clubs, and meeting new people. Even though I missed Charlize, well, I still miss him, but I had to put myself first and put my needs and happiness on my first priority list. One day, I received a message from Charlize, which was quite a surprise to me because I never thought I would get any sort of communication with Charlize after how things ended between us. In his message, he was apologizing for being so stubborn and inflexible, and asked if we could meet for coffee to talk things over. For some reasons, I agreed. I mean, things didn't end well, and we went our separate ways in a very harsh and hurtful way. So we met at a local cafe. We talked for hours about our relationship, our regrets, and our future. We realized that we both still cared for each other, but knew that we couldn't go back to the way things were before. I mean, Charlize was a workaholic and I was a lover of exploration, meaning our marriage was doomed from the very beginning. I know I should have let him know about my likes and desires before we even started dating, but I thought I had changed and I was ready for the commitment. Charlize and I were two different people, which was why it was hard for him to agree to open our relationship. He is always about work, loyalty, spoiling, and loving. It's like his life is in the eggshell and it's not moving because it keeps going in circles. And I didn't want to be in the eggshell with him. I wanted to be like a bird, spread my wings and explore new things. I wanted to do that with him, but he took all that the wrong way. With time, I healed and learned from my mistakes. I understood that sometimes the desire for personal growth can clash with the commitment we have to our loved ones. I vowed to communicate better in the future, to cherish the relationships that truly mattered, and to find happiness within myself. As time passed, I eventually found happiness and fulfillment in my own paths. I learned valuable lessons about love, growth, and the importance of communication in a relationship. And though my love story had ended, the memories that I had shared with Charlize would forever hold a special place in my hearts. My healing journey has taught me the importance of individual growth and finding a balance between personal desires and the commitment to a partner. The support group really helped me discover things that I didn't even know about myself either. I understood that relationships could evolve and change, and that sometimes difficult decisions had to be made for the sake of personal happiness and fulfillment. Just like how my marriage ended, I know it was not an easy decision for Charlize to make, but at the end of the day, he had to make one. Sometimes, despite the love shared, two individuals may find themselves unable to align their desires and needs, leading to the difficult decision of parting ways. I was happy at the fact that I was able to voice out my feelings and desires to Charlize, even though things didn't go the way I had wanted to go. But I guess that is how life is. I miss Charlize so much, but sometimes putting yourself and your happiness first needs some compromises. I don't know what would have happened if I continued to stay in the closet and be unhappy in my marriage. Imagine what would have happened to me or to our relationship if I were to continue living my happy life of going out and exploring while Charlize was in the dark. Our marriage would have become a shameful marriage, full of secrets and deceit. I don't know if I made the right decision of not fighting for Charlize, because my heart still yearns for him. I still love him a lot, but on the other hand, I want to put myself and my happiness first. Please help me with the issue that I am currently facing. What should I do in order to fully move on and be myself without thinking about Charlize and our love?